Alright, M&M everybody. How's it going today? I'm tearing it up today. Got a beautiful set up for Wednesday. Looking good. Floor's tight. Going rock. Nice today. Obviously, from yesterday, laser beams and Kelvin objects rushing away from each other. Plutonium touch. Make you glow. So obviously in here, this is going to be a lot of our set. We wanted to pump that through yesterday. It's partially silvered mirror. We get a lot of that stuff going. It's cool. I think a lot of you guys lately kind of like the Delis de Mortes touch. MS16 in here really doesn't make any difference given the housing, right? And you would have to act locally from a trajectory. You input that one photon at temperature index, it's negative and positive. So you begin to seed off of that, because that's what it is. I found myself in MS16 today, whoever, Hells Angels, Aryan Brotherhood, fucking Black Panthers. I'm going to do the same thing. If there's an adjusted model, somebody messed something up here, don't understand physics, don't understand, again, cheeseburger, like banging your old lady. Kublai Khan, all that crap between tribes, and you just go back in time and stomp out the first fish, Hitler, right? So in here, you got to take consideration, well, that's that new measurement. How do you apply it in the world? How do you apply that sentence, n1 half, n is the number, it could be any numbers, 1 is the increment, and that logic will go from positive to negative to divided, because 1 divided by 1 is obviously going to be 0. It only goes into itself so many times. Back to the box. So in there's some of those things. Something going on. But yeah, we've been running some tight rock today, feeling pretty good. I don't really know in terms of where our notes are, where we kind of left off. Obviously, MIB is where we had this morning. This is an alien spacecraft. This is an alien civilization. According to the rules of physics, Senate talks about gas law in school. All right, gas law. Shortstoiki, got common core of the earth. Right, Doomslayer, you didn't make none of this. So even in this, you still have the chance to be able to make that out of those parts. I got Doomslayer, Mario Maker, I got HTT Code Bullet. If those were the things that I'm putting in here, what does the output on that say that is? But still you burning rock. A lot of people don't get that kind of concept with that. It's me seeing that from the horizon over there in the situation you're set. Zeros and ones, offshot, turbulent flows from this general relativity. And I say this because, you guys see this. I'm looking at this. Hammer right there. So you could see a salty aspect. Now again, one of those things, I was talking about Angry Core, I like his applications on what this stuff is. Bring him down here. I know he's having trouble with the Army right now. I don't know exactly what he did, but I'll take you down here. One, you got drill sergeant capacity, and also you have local operator SAM abilities. You want to be able to manipulate that vote. Eventually the money's probably going to be here for you. You got to have the town program. You got to have the workforce program. You got to have the college Common Core. Little grains of sand that just pile up on you and make you a mountain berry. Going to pull out of that gravity time. Things are going to orbit. What comes around often out here, so a lot of those reasons, because they're +1s out here. Normal day rock, something walks over to you. You're going to have a lot of Kelvin things, neutrinos, effects from the sun, and anything else that might gravitational waves from a supernova way out. What's the simile n1 half on the floor? Because then you're doing the neutron star physics to figure out the mass, but the solar storm, because something on the outside augmented that, changes that. So we mark the general nature of what its mass is in general between these entropies. And over time, you figure out what that is, and I feel pretty consistent about that. And if that's true, and there is a solar storm where I could predict that, forecast that in an air turbulence equation on this line, I would see the polarizing wave functions and actually say, even though it's a hurricane, it's pretty much a straight line from the Big Bang to being out here at that point in time. It gets a lot more complicated than you take one person and they start jumping around, because it can, and that, you know, has an effect on Jupiter's mass changing and therefore Earth's mass changing. A very brutal calculation. I mean, statistically, you know, just trying to figure out how tall everybody is on a time window is going to change that answer, because they might have grown a little bit given the age differential, and so you have to generalize it. You know, and in some way we figured this out. A lot of this military entropy is going to be a big part of that, but it's here. Sergeants and things like that represent here have a lot of problem with that when they have local psychological PTSD, hypervigilant episodes of akadesia out there, doomslayer, instead of properly functioning what that is and working the case and timelines, and again, some of that other stuff. So we were working the generals on space-time. Again, I like that application. Again, stopping the bullets, even if it's a minigun coming at you, some professor, I'm gonna pick that apart. You know, I saw that in the video. I wrote my notes down. And here's that one tiny little grain of sand that, you know, if you really took a look at it and broke it down, stopped all this, that bullet, that first one potentially, is going to stop every other bullet. The reason you did it, the reason it does, the effects after the minigun comes down and your Raptor shooting out a highway, right, or just a bunch of naphthas, these non-fascist by what it is. Come on. General relativity. You know, you got to respect the force you're up against, because if you can't train that, get it to go to do that, you know, be able to offset, like I need an Air Force, the Raptor in the region, and it's just local home skirmishes and things like that. I mean, what is your arrest rate record like right now? As far as that's concerned, my own America military, what have you done to encourage that? Why do the work if I can get somebody else to do it for me that wants to do it, and then hub off the stock of that region, right? Because who's up this morning? You know, and that's something you should hear Como say. That's something you should hear Putin say and Trump say. Unless they got the KGB pushing crystal meth in there, it's going to be the same stuff every day. It's going to be, you know, some adjustment on me to burn differently or set up differently or change one of those plays a little differently here, because I registered an object to having a different mass now. That calculation before, sure, didn't like it. One man in saws at night and stuff like that. I like my own technique. Had paperwork drawn out for it, great. Then they change it on you. They start losing crew or something like that, and start to save the crew. Quit fucking around. Anyways, obviously not here. It's not what we're talking about. You know, so I just want to have some of those concepts get across to you on this morning about, again, that temperature differential and rapidly expanding gas particles. That's a particle that rapidly expands. You know, you're going to get a lot of that military sharps harassment against what science and psychology is about that, and it's going to be some form of law, whether locally there was that incident, zero, these particles moving at this distance away from each other at this speed, and the physics correlates. Equally to the aspect of that being so cold, it has an effect of I can form an entropy off of it. In that case, I wanted cold, because cold is just a change, a delta, A delta B in Maxwell's equations, or Maxwell's equations dealing with black holes and Epson spheres and basically everything else. Because I'll be like, you sling that at me, and that Epson sphere ain't note about what some of the notes are in here. Some of these other brothers would just be like, stop, Agent Smith. Catch you on the next one.